The cycle of changes we've learned through reflecting on the plight of an expected mother can inform us on the natural cycles of our manifestations being incubated in the ethers, especially when cooperating in your life path/purpose or in alignment with the Most High. Howdy, folks. So, in this video, I want to talk to you about viewing creation from the scope of birth. Now, this is one of my favorite little epiphany moments. It was one of them things that I kept in the back of my ear, and when I manifest, I make sure to always remember it because it helps me calm myself down. When I'm manifesting, I get really excited, and I'm like, okay, Spirit, where's that then? And I got to remember that there's a process to things. So, when I kind of compare creation energy or the creation process to the birthing process, I want to make sure that we understand that the pregnancy part of that, it's the mental, not all the way the mental, but it's the part of the conceptualization of that idea or that creation before it's materialized. So you are doing work in the material world to prepare for a physical baby, like a human baby, without that baby necessarily being here. And the same thing for anything else you create, like a business. There's a whole lot of business planning, positioning things properly right before you really get to see that thing take off. That doesn't necessarily mean that your business isn't functioning. It's just not to where it becomes its own thing, its own entity, because that's what creation is. It's about creating something. A lot of us want to create extensions of our bodies and think that that's like a creation. It's not a creation is an entity that is a reflection of you. It's a descendant of you, but it's outside of you. It's detached. So I'm going to go ahead and explain what this analogy means to me. So first off, the fertility energy, especially in relationship to Empress energy, is associated with both birthing a child and a new material creation. So when you look at the Empress tarot card, they always say, yes, somebody might be pregnant, but you also could be birthing a new idea or a new business or a new whatever. But it's about fertility, having the soil that has all that you need to create whatever you want. And most grand creations come from cooperation between parties, or our favorite holy occurrence of virgin birth, where Spirit/Most High inseminates a virgin woman, impregnating her with the holy child. When you look at holy books or ancient stories, however you want to consider them, right? And we look at all creations through history, they usually required some level of cooperation, meaning rarely are you ever going to create something alone. Rarely are you ever going to create something alone. Even virgin births required insemination from Spirit. So it requires some sort of cooperation. And if anybody out here thinks that they're creating something on their own, they're not. They're creating it with the Most High God, with their inner spirit. But there is more than one entity that's intertwining. Why? Because creation energy, in order to offer that big bang explosion that allows for something to exist, requires the push-pull of an energy. The push of the masculine energy, the pull of the feminine energy. Everything is cyclical, and things can't circulate if you don't have both the push-pull. So it's going to be required. So it requires cooperation in order for something to be inseminated. Whether it be in an idea, business, right? It's going to require some cooperation. It's going to require you deciding, hey, I want to do this with you, and this is the decision we're going to make. Because it can't even be a complete idea until you know for sure who's doing what. Am I doing it, or am I just expecting somebody else to make this business? Okay, well, I guess I'm doing it, right? All right, well, who else is doing it? Is it just me, or is it someone else? Nope, I think I'm going to take the risk and do this all by myself. Okay, well, if I'm going to do this all by myself, I'm going to need help. So that's when you step in and you make sure that you're straight with the Most High God. Because if you're going to do it on your lonesome, you got to make sure that there's some energy that is supporting you. Shoot, when the angel came to Joseph, Jesus' father, he was like, hey, you're going to have a baby. And he was like, I am shooting blanks. So I don't know how I'm going to be able to have a baby. I'm too old to have children. I'm shooting blanks. And he said what? He said, don't worry about it. Because if you can't receive that assistance from someone else, you can receive it from the Most High God. You're going to sit down, you're going to be like, you know what, God, I want to do this. And God's going to be like, okay, well, you can do this. And literally, as soon as you say, I will do blah, 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 you are declaring, right? That declaration is an insemination. That is the nut busting, okay? All right. So, now you're pregnant. All right, now the baby can grow if you want it to. If you're going to properly incubate this idea to turn it into a materialized child, you can choose to. Or you can abort it, all right, and pray that that baby be born through another coochie another day and move on about yourself. But if you choose to keep it, right, we're going to go through this experience. So we're at the first trimester. Right, so usually that's the point where you're dealing with nausea/vomiting at the beginning stage, and that's usually an energy shift and an informational period. So you have this idea, and it's time to start asking questions. These questions are going to make you confused, irritated. Your emotions are going to be out of whack. You're going to be the inside of your body is going to start shifting. You're going to want to, shift your body towards this new goal. But through a lot of those heightened emotions and hormone imbalances and such, you're going to be asking questions. Now, usually, if you don't know that this is the cycle, you're going to think that those questions are going to be your, let's say, mind, like the mental energy, trying to let you know that you're going towards danger by sending a bunch of doubt to you. And that's not the case. It's not even doubt, right? It is, but it isn't. You're asking the proper questions. If I say I want to start a pharmacy, and I'm like, yo, it takes a lot of money to start a pharmacy, I'm not gonna just stop. I didn't decide to start a pharmacy because it wasn't worth fighting for, unless I did. And so it's perfectly fine for you to ask these questions, for you to have heightened emotions, because if this is actually something that you really don't want to do, and it's evident in how you're not trying to find solutions to those problems, then maybe that's a sign that you need not have this baby, because you're going to invest in it and you're going to hurt yourself when you finally decide to be truthful with yourself in the future. Like, yo, I don't want that shit. So if you decide, actually, I do want that pharmacy. Okay, bet. It's expensive to start a pharmacy. Okay, bet. Well, if you wanted a crib for that baby, and there's a cheap crib, but you don't want the cheap crib, you want the crib that's worth a damn, what do you think you'd do? Well, as the mother of that child, you remember that you didn't inseminate yourself, so you gonna go ask God, like, there's a problem, and I need that moved. So you'll be like, hey, Spirit, I want to start this, but I don't know where I'd get the funding from. Spirit be like, okay, well, a solution's on the way. And you keep your eyes open. This is the information period. What people don't realize is that when they say someone has heightened emotions, that they're also just more sensitive to energy. So you're going to keep your eyes open, and answers are going to come toward you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to find the answers to all of these things. You just have to ask first. Those who seek shall find. So if you're not looking for a solution, you're not going to find one. But if you decide, hey, I'm going to have this pharmacy, there isn't a single thing that's going to get in the way of that. So if it's an issue of finding funding, then the funding will come. It has to happen, because the pharmacy is happening. That is just it. It's already existing. So ask the Father, hello, I need funding. And funding will come. It might not come without you doing a little extra work. If there's extra steps to giving birth to this baby in the physical, then so be it. But a solution will come. I promise you. It's happened for me. I was like, I need to figure out how this is gonna work, and God was like, okay, I'll give it to you. And he did every single time. Every time I had an issue, it was like, okay, I'm at a roadblock. How do I figure this out? And God's like, okay, we'll find a way to move that. And then we do. The heavy urination, nausea, and heightened emotion sensitivity is also that cleansing out. It's your body is literally heightening your emotion. You're getting extra excited with this new idea because you're like, oh, this is gonna happen. You might be having visions of what your life is gonna look like when you finally do that thing you really want to do, because your body is trying to let you know, like, yo, this is the real deal. You have so many thoughts every day, but when you get that thought that you're meant to work towards, that you're meant to see more from, you're gonna know, and your body is trying to let you know. And that's mostly what the first trimester is. So it's the informational and the notificational part of your journey, trying to manifest this spiritual happenstance. Anyways, these words be too much for me, man. It be too much. Anyways, second trimester, you're at that point where your emotions are settling, but the body is starting to hurt more. Your sleep patterns will get a little better, and your energy levels will increase. So at this point, you're getting answers to your questions, right? And those answers to your questions are gonna make that rest of your pregnancy smoother, or so it's supposed to, because now you know exactly what needs to happen. You have the plan out. It's all like, okay, I had this question and it told me how I was going to get funding. I had this question and it told me how I was going to file things. I had this question and it told me where I was going to get this from and that from, and what I was going to do to up this and so I already have a whole roadmap of what's going to happen if this happens. How do I keep this secure? Now it's time to get into my chariot energy and do the damn thing. Do the damn thing. The body hurting, that's when you start to deal with the challenges of the physical world. So what does that mean? It means you done did all this thinking about it, and now it's time to do it. It's time to actually put it into action. So your body is gonna hurt. And those moments when you're actually putting things into action and you're not seeing the physical manifestation yet, it's so easy for you to be like, I don't think I want to do this, just because of how much it's inconveniencing you and how little you're seeing because of that. And that's why during the second trimester, you're going to experience the first flutters of the baby, the first little signifiers that what you thought up, that idea of yours, is starting to manifest, and that can help ease the discomfort that stepping into putting in work towards that thing could actually bring you, because it sucks to have to do a whole bunch of work towards something that you feel doubtful for it just because you haven't seen it yet physically. So there are energies of doubt, and then your back hurt, and it's too much, it's too much, and you have to remember, like, yeah, but that baby's on the way, and it's gonna be all worth it, so let me just relax myself. Now the third trimester is the final stretch. This is the point where you're meant to be still. It's implied in the standard of life you're gonna be living, because your body's gonna be hurting, you're gonna be prone to infections and shortness of breath. Your body is trying to get you to still down, to cool down, to sit your behind down, to relax, because something real big is going to happen, and your internal organs are going to start shifting to prepare for you to birth this big thing, to prepare for you to finally have this creation materialize, so that it will eventually be able to break off from you and become whatever it needs to be in of itself. You have to relax, okay? And most of this is you slowly sitting down, just still down. So when you're creating businesses and such like that, if you're creating something for yourself, and this goes for every creation, you could be building something, and you have to be honest about the fact that it's going to materialize. However it materializes, and even after it does, it's going to go out into the world to be what it is. You're done creating it. You have to always remember that, because it is the physical manifestation of a 4D thought, an idea. It dropping down a dimension is going to distort it from what you expected it to be. New mothers and new fathers, especially new mothers, right, tend to have a lot of issues around lack of fulfillment because of how those expectations weren't met after the baby was born, or because that lack of, explosive moment of like, yay, they think that they're not a good mother, or they didn't do something right, or it's always those expectations falling too short alongside such an emotional and hormonal experience like giving birth to a child. It can cause a lot of postpartum depression. That can happen for you also if you're creative. So if you make something and it finally comes out and you realize like, damn, my baby kind of ugly, it could make you sad. you know what it's like when you might make that video and it's just like, this is not at all what I need this to be. And you have to be okay with the fact that it is what it is. And that's a beautiful thing, because you decided that idea was worth seeing through. And it was. It always is. You don't spend too much time questioning what already exists. Was it worth it? It had to be. A huge part of this is understanding that one, creation isn't just a big boom, it's also a cycle, a process. Just like your life itself is a cycle and a process. So that you could also understand that what you create is then susceptible to the same cycle that all creations go through, and that you can't control everything that comes out of you. Everything that comes from you can't control. If you decide, hey, I'm gonna start a show, and that show gets super duper big and people start saying, hey, we want this show live and da-da-da-da-da, you can be somebody who chooses to suppress your creation and, no, I want it to be this way, I want to control it, this is not what I ever wanted to. Or you can allow for the fluidity of guidance, because really as a parent, you're not a controller, you're a guide. You're just there to guide your creation. Even if it's a business, you're guiding your business. But if the business wants to fail, it's gonna fail. Alright, and you can either be somebody who thinks that you can control it, you can be somebody who understands, like, I am doing my best to guide it to do better, and apparently it's just not. So I need to be honest with myself and know when to pull back, because it's not following my guidance. But you can't think that you're just gonna control it and also allow it to be successful. If people are saying, hey, you created this show and we really, really want it live, and you say, I never wanted to do it live, so no, I'm not gonna do it live, okay. But if you think that it's going to be successful doing it the exact way that you thought you were gonna do it, you might actually pass up that success because you refuse to be malleable. So if your child comes to you and say, hey, I really want to be a rock star, and you say, no, you're going to go to college and be a doctor. Well, if they go to college and flunk out of medical school or something like that, then you just wasted all their time. And what if they would have just been successful being a rock star, made way more money than a doctor, with way less loans? What if they were a great rock star and you didn't even know? You dig what I'm saying? Creation is something that you're birthing. Your creation should be understood the way we understand our relation to children. That'll free you up from holding yourself back a lot. But have a great day, folks. I'm done talking. Please like, share, subscribe. Follow me on my shit, nigga. Have a good day.